Hello, ladies and gents, boys and girls, people of all ages, sexualities, and identities, and welcome back to another Doctor Who review. And today's Doctor Who review is none other than Dead London. So, what is Dead London about? Well, essentially, the Doctor is in a bit of a pickle. You see, he gets taken to court because essentially he gets fined for a parking ticket because the TARDIS is parked on a double yellow line. Yes, you heard it right. The Doctor needs to figure out his parking system. And of course, he tries to plead to the court that he in jest did not do this on purpose. And of course, he tries to plead for forgiveness. However, the judge in the courtroom, who is not human, decides that the Doctor should hang from the gallows for it. This leads the Doctor to be taken to Aldgate Prison in London in order to be hanged alongside another woman known as Spring Hill Sophie. Spring Hill Sophie has been arrested for pretty much going on a tightrope and being accused of stealing people's belongings. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Lucie Miller, who is currently on a shopping trip, finds herself puzzled as she comes cross to cross with different time zones. Lucie then ends up being taken out of the way of a tram that nearly hits her, and suddenly finds herself in World War I England. She's at the height of the Blitz and soon learns that the Blitz murderer, or as he was known back then, the Blitz Ripper, who would attack women in the middle of the night, during which when the dark would hit and all the lights would go out. This was someone who took advantage of the Blitz and used it for his devilish deeds. However, that's not the only thing we learn as we progress through all of this. It turns out that Spring Hill Sophie had accidentally taken a device that essentially allowed beings from another dimension to come through. Little does she realise, and the Doctor at the time, that everything that's happening around them is a fabrication of a kind of device that allows people to be judged, tried, without pretty much any evidence. When the Doctor eventually confronts the prison guard / hangman / judge over this, he finds himself in a predicament in which he must argue his case, and then he realises that essentially this is all a game. Even though the judge keeps trying to plead to him that it's not the case, the Doctor keeps on persisting and eventually the judge gives in. However, even though the judge admits to his real identity as a kind of alien from another planet, the Doctor essentially finds himself in a bit of a stalemate, as they still try to hang him from the gallows. However, him and Sophie manage to break the illusion by essentially making gallows humour at the docks, rather than taking their deaths as a kind of burden. Instead, they see it as a bit of dark humour and embrace its satire and morbid concepts. Meanwhile, essentially Lucie Miller manages to evade the Ripper and manages to find herself crossing paths with medieval England, modern London, and so on and so on. Eventually, she manages to bump back into the Doctor. The Doctor then explains the situation, and Lucie Miller is absolutely fuming, especially after knowing that she just had to witness the Blitz. However, they may let bygones be bygones, and the Doctor and Lucie eventually get back to business. Along with Sophie, they go down into the undersewer, eventually going back to Aldgate Prison, finding the centre of the problem, and essentially solving the problem by locking the creatures in their own minds, after the Doctor realises that the whole place has been kind of systematically designed, similar to a neural pathway in your brain. The Doctor and Lucie then return to 2008, and they travel off in the TARDIS for another adventure in time and space. So, Dead London, what did I think of this? Well, I honestly love this kind of story. Not just for the fact that it brings up Aldgate Prison and the Blitz and 1600 and Boudica and a lot of other bits of historical media, but I really love the kind of core element of people jumping time zones. I feel like it makes for such an interesting dynamic, not only for the Doctor experiencing history once again and getting to see the morbid side of human history, but also for this kind of concept of the companion really getting to witness the birth, death, and afterbirth of their world. Often, when a companion is left in one time zone and one place, it very much feels like even though they could go to another planet, they're not really getting the full effect of the Doctor's life. However, when they seem to time jump, it's like they really start to wake up to how different their world has been since this person's come into their life. I also just love the comedic concept in this story of the Doctor getting a parking ticket. Like, what a great opener. And for that reason, I give Dead London a solid 9 out of 10. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next Doctor Who review. Until then, goodbye, stay beautiful, and have an incredible night.